guys, and welcome back to another Sunday meal prep video. I am super excited that y'all are joining me today for another meal prep. Hopefully we have a couple of fairly easy preps to do today. We are going to make the homemade chicken noodle soup that I've made on here a couple of times before. That is from budgetbites.com. And then I have a new recipe, and it is a Weight Watchers King Ranch Chicken Casserole. I have it here. It is from lifeissweeterbydesign.com, which I've never heard of them actually. I was just looking for something new to make. So this is basically just a chicken casserole. Take some cream of mushroom soup and stuff like that in there, some corn tortillas. I got some of those Mission ultra thin corn tortillas to put in there, but it seems kind of good, kind of a little bit of a Tex-Mex spin on it, so hopefully Charlie and I will like it. Along with that, I am just going to make some of the California blend veggies that I'm just going to roast in the oven while that's cooking, that I will season up with the Montreal steak seasoning. So that will be one of our meals, and then we will have the homemade chicken noodle soup. Of course, I'll make my corn muffins to go along with that. And I'm going to be honest, I haven't 100% decided yet what I'm going to do for desserts. It's either going to be cookies, or I'm going to try to make some type of muffin or something. It could be a pumpkin muffin. I still have several cans of pumpkin to use, but I'm going to do a little playing around and see what I can come up with. I'm kind of feeling more the muffin thing this week instead of the cookies. We'll see. But anywho, those are the two main meals, and I will let y'all know once we get to dessert time, because I usually always do that at the end anyway. So with all of that being said, let's just jump right into the video. If you are new here and you haven't yet subscribed, be sure to click that subscribe button down below and that notification bell so that you don't miss any of my videos. I am posting more videos right now because it is Vlogmas, but typically I post 3 videos per week. And also follow me over on Instagram. I will leave my Instagram handle right here on the screen for you as well. I would love to have you over there. And also I have a really great Facebook group. It is called Finding Our Way. This is the icon to that group. There is a direct link down in the description box to that Facebook group. Also, speaking of the description box, all of the recipes will be either typed out or links. I will probably have links to each one of these recipes in there because they are not my recipes, so I will link directly to those. And I also have been putting my link from my Weight Watchers app down there to where you can import it directly into your Weight Watchers app. That only works if you are truly on Weight Watchers, and then I think that you have to import it and save it as a favorite, and then you can edit it and it will just be your recipe and it will calculate your personal points. So I'm really not giving personal points as much. I mean, sometimes I'll say, you know, this says it's going to be this many points, or I think it's this many points, or this is what it was before, but then sometimes after I film my video and I go back and pull it up, the points calculations has actually changed from the last time that I made it. But this of course is the first time that I've made the chicken casserole. I have not plugged it in yet to see how many personal points it is for me, and I don't remember how many points the chicken noodle soup is. I do have that in my thing for the noodles on this. This calls for egg noodles, but we are going to use the Fiber Gourmet rotini pasta. That was our favorite way that we've made it. We've made that twice, and we made it once with the rotini, once with the penne, and we loved it with the rotini. The penne seemed to really like soak up a lot of the liquid. So I do have like extra chicken broth. This calls for like 8 cups of water or something like that. So hopefully we don't soak up all the liquid today. It was still good the last time, but again, it just wasn't as liquidy as what we kind of expect chicken noodle soup to be. So highly recommend the Fiber Gourmet pasta if you are looking for a low point pasta. I don't know if it's low carb necessarily. There is the carbonara pasta, and I have tried that before in the past, but since I've tried the Fiber Gourmet, I really prefer that. And Charlie, who never eats anything like diet type food or pasta or cares about that, he likes the Fiber Gourmet. He cannot tell a difference in it and regular pasta, you know, once it's made and it's put in with the sauces and stuff. So anywho, recommend Fiber Gourmet pasta. And yeah, all of that information is going to be linked down in the description box below. Again, most of your questions can be answered down there, so be sure to check it out. Also, if you haven't tried out Weight Watchers and you want to try a free month, I have a link for that down in the description box below too. You will get a free month, and then I will get a free month as well. There's a link to my Amazon store. Lots of things that I use today might be already in my Amazon store, and sometimes I try to remember to mention it, but sometimes I don't. So if you're wondering about something that I use, check out my Amazon store, and then if it's not in there, just ask me and I'll get you a link if I can. So with all that being said, now let's roll into the video. Alrighty, we are getting ready to start our Sunday meal prep. This is everything kind of that Charlie has to prep. He is going to have to make a run to Publix because Kroger left out my red bell pepper yesterday. One of these green ones is for the casserole that we are making today, and then the yellow one and the other green one will be for my normal diced peppers. I actually may get Charlie to pick me up a couple because I'm completely out of my diced peppers. It seems like I'm using more, and I'll be here making my breakfast fresh every morning. I might end up using more peppers. We'll see. So we'll probably just change that to 2 peppers that he picks up to dice. But anywho, regardless, we are going to trim up all of these chicken breasts. I'm going to use 3 from the freezer to go ahead and put in the crock pot for the chicken casserole because I need, I think, 2 cups of shredded chicken. So I want to go ahead and put that on now before I get in the shower. So 3 of these he will just trim up and put in the freezer, and then the other 2 will be used for the homemade chicken noodle soup. And then also for the chicken noodle soup, we have some celery. I'm just going to have him dice up about a cup of celery in small little pieces. I think that will be plenty. This was just cheaper to get it this way than to get the smaller little package. And then I'll just get him to dice these up into little pieces as well. And then I do have a cantaloupe and a pineapple this week. And I am doing something different for my lunches since I'm not going to work. I'm just going to like season up some taco meat, some ground turkey, and have some taco meat and then sweet potatoes along with it, which I used to love to do this with ground beef. I'm going to see how I like it with the turkey meat before I try it with the ground beef. I used to do like ground beef and then just put some of my sugar-free ketchup on top of it. It was really good. We are going to pick up another sweet potato. These are both so tiny. I mean, there's probably barely any sweet potato in there. So I will use those for one lunch, and then this one for one lunch, and then we need one more good one to bake. I will go ahead and cook those so that they are softened up, and then just warm those up for 3 minutes on the day that I eat them. And I have found before in the past that that works great. So that is all of Charlie's prep for the day, except for, like I said, those 2 peppers. I want to change it to 2 peppers, by the way, that you get me instead of just 1. I feel like I'm low on peppers, and I might end up using more. So, anywho, here's Mr. Nico over here inspecting everything. He's been a bad boy this morning. Him and Luna have been fighting a lot. I'm not sure who the instigator is, if it's him or her, but, yep, they've been in trouble today. So, anywho, we are going to, I'm going to put the chicken in the crock pot, and then after that we'll roll into Charlie's prep. So let me get those chicken breasts out of the freezer and get those going because I need those to be cooked, and it's going to take at least 4 hours. Alright, we are going to go ahead and put these 3 chicken breasts in the crock pot. All I'm going to do is salt and pepper them, and then I'm going to use the rest of some chicken broth left from last week in here, and then just cover it the rest of the way with water, and then just cook them on high, and then I will just shred it up, and it will be perfect for my casserole that I'm going to make later. And I have high hopes for this casserole. I'm hoping it turns out delicious. We'll see. So this is the leftover chicken broth. I can't remember what I made last week that used chicken broth, but oh, the Instant Pot meal. And then I'm just going to cover the rest with water, which actually that's quite a bit of chicken broth left in there. We'll just cover it with water, and then we're going to pop it in the crock pot and put it on high. So there we go. It is covered in water. I'm going to put it in the crock pot on high, jump in the shower, and now we will roll into Charlie's prep.
You got that something, baby, that I can go without, just like a poison in me. You're all that I'm about. Loving the highs, don't mind the lows. It's getting out of my control. I want that something, baby, 'cause I can go without. Mama used to tell me love ain't right if it ain't
wanted to show my fruit for the week. So I got a good bit of cantaloupe, but look at my pitiful little amount of pineapple. Charlie said that a lot of the pineapple was rotten. I did eat a little bit of it with my pizza that I just had for lunch, but we might get 2 more days of some pineapple out of that. This is okay. It really doesn't have that much flavor, but it doesn't taste bad, if that makes sense. Fruit this time of the year just gets hard to get something worthwhile. But then I have a nice array of bell peppers here for my pizzas and my eggs and stuff this week. So I'm just going to put this away, and then we're going to get started on the chicken noodle soup. The chicken breasts are still cooking in the crock pot for the casserole, so I'm just going to save that until after I completely finish the soup and the corn muffins. And then one other thing that I'm making is some ground turkey taco meat. That's going to be for my lunches this week. But I'll talk about that once I get to it. I just forgot to say it in the intro. So let me put this up, and then we will get everything out for the chicken noodle soup. Alrighty, we are ready to get started on the homemade chicken noodle soup. This is from budgetbites.com. This is one of those budget meals. It says the whole recipe should cost $10.44, $1.31 per serving. It says it makes 8 servings, but we are just going to divide it into 6. I really don't pay attention to that. I just usually divide everything into 6 servings. But we are not going to use the olive oil. I'm just going to use my spray. Of course, we don't add the onion because we don't eat the onions typically. I am going to use the minced garlic, 3 teaspoons of that instead of 3 cloves of garlic. And then it calls for half a pound of carrots. We actually have a whole pound here. Charlie just went ahead and chopped up the whole thing. I may or may not go ahead and use all those. It calls for half a bunch of celery. So Charlie's chopped up quite a bit of celery here. And then we need 2 chicken breasts. We have those ready. And then some dried basil, some dried parsley, a bay leaf, and some dried thyme. And then, of course, some pepper and salt, which I'll just use that for my little pepper and salt containers there. And then 6 ounces of egg noodles, but instead I'm going to use this whole bag of this light rotini, which this is actually 8 ounces. So I probably will add a little more liquid in here. It calls for, I think, 8 cups of water. There it is, 8 cups of water. So I'm probably going to add the 8 cups of water, but then I'm also going to add some chicken broth in there as well. So I don't want to not have enough liquid. We're going to get started. Let me get the garlic sauteing in the pot, and then we'll add the carrots and the celery in and saute those as well. We don't have to like do the garlic or anything for 5 minutes since we're leaving out the onions. We pretty much can just start with the garlic and the carrots and the celery. So let's get to it. Okay, so I'm just going to use this huge pot here, which I love this. I picked this up at either TJ Maxx or Marshall's. I don't know what the brand is. Country Kitchen or something like that. I'll see if I can find that on Amazon and link it, because I do get a lot of questions on this pot, and it is really nice. It's really lightweight. It's not heavy like what are those cast iron pots called? I forget. Although I want one of those, but we're just going to spray some of this olive oil spray. This is almost empty, actually. And we're going to go in with our 3 teaspoons of minced garlic. And let that saute for a minute. And then we'll add in our carrots and our celery. And while that's getting warm, I'm going to go ahead and measure out my parsley flakes, get my bay leaf ready, my basil, and my thyme in a little bowl so that it'll be ready just to dump in there. And I don't want to burn my garlic, so I'm going to go ahead and add in my carrots and my celery. And then I'm going to let these saute for a couple of minutes until they soften up. Okay, so I think that the celery and the carrots have been sauteing long enough. Now we are going to go ahead and add in the chicken breast and all of the seasonings. Now I'm just going to salt and pepper the chicken breast. I did the one side, so I'm going to do this side now that I got them in there. And then we are going to add some more salt and pepper as well. So we're going to add the chicken breast along with the bay leaf, the basil, the parsley, the thyme, and some freshly cracked pepper, which I don't have freshly cracked pepper, but I do have this. So we will just add in a couple of good sprinkles of some black pepper, and then we add salt later. And then we are going to add in 8 cups of water. So I have 8 cups of water. And then I'm going to add in probably about half of this thing of chicken broth as well. I'm going to turn the heat up because we have to bring it to a boil. So pretty much we're going to bring this to a boil and then we're going to let it simmer for about an hour. Going to give it a good little stir there. It'll take a minute to get hot and get to boiling. And then after that, then we take the chicken out. We basically shred it, and then we're going to season the broth with salt. It says to add 2 to 3 teaspoons is what they like. And then we add the noodles to the pot and turn it up on high and boil the noodles for about 7 minutes. So pretty much I'm going to cover her up while we're going to bring it to a boil, and then I'll reduce the heat and then cover it for an hour. So we'll be back once I take the chicken out and shred that, and in the meantime we're going to go ahead and do the corn muffins that go along with it. Okay guys, we're going to go ahead and make the corn muffins. I have the chicken noodle soup just simmering on the stove. It has to simmer for at least an hour, and so it's kind of at a good little simmer right now. So I have everything out for the corn muffins. I know y'all seen me make them a million times. Super easy, just 3 ingredients. So what you are going to need is some self-rising cornmeal. I'm going to use this Martha White Hot Rise self-rising cornmeal. I have 1.5 cups already measured out of that. And then I'm going to use 1.5 cans or 21 ounces of cream style corn. So I have 2 cans here. I usually just weigh it and weigh 21 ounces. You can eyeball it if you want to, but sometimes this is even quicker. There we go, 21 ounces, perfect. And then we just need 3 tablespoons of egg whites. There's 1, 2, 3. And then we're just going to mix this together pretty well and scoop it into the muffin tins. These come out to 3 points per muffin. Under my personal points, of course, I will have the link to the recipe linked down below, and you can import it into your app and see what it is for you. But I think this would be the same for everyone. Okay, so I have my muffin tin here. I'm just going to spray it really well with the Pam baking spray. And then I'm just going to use an ice cream scoop to scoop it out into the 12 muffins.
Let me feel your love again, 'cause I've been running round in circles screaming out your name. Take me to a different place, just the 2 of us, and we can stay up all night, kissing under street lights, doing what we want to.
Okay, they are ready to go in the oven. I have the oven preheated to 400 degrees. They're going to go in for 15 minutes. Okay, here are the corn muffins fresh out of the oven. They are looking nice and crispy, looking perfect. And let's check on our soup real quick. Okay, so the soup is boiling away really well, and it's got like 17 minutes left. So we will come back to that and shred the chicken and put the rotini noodles in there, and that will be done. So pretty easy. Alright, so I just pulled the 2 chicken breasts out, and we're going to shred that up with a fork. But first we're going to get this up to a boil and get the rotini in there. So it says to add some salt, and they said 2 to 3 teaspoons is what they like to add. So we're going to salt her up pretty good. And we are going to add in 1 bag of the Fabric Gourmet Light Rotini. And we're going to turn that up to high, and we are going to set that for 7 minutes. And then we're going to shred the chicken and put it back in. And then if we need any more liquid, I do still have some of that chicken broth left, or we can add water. So to shred my chicken, I'm just going to use the 2 forks because it should just shred right up. No problem. So I think that's shredded up good enough. This just has 5 or 6 minutes left. And then basically we just add the chicken back in and it should be good to go. I'm going to go ahead and try to get the bay leaf out, which I actually put 2 like little bay leaves in. So there's 1. There's the other one. And one reason that I put the chicken broth in here is because this actually does call for bone-in chicken. And so I feel like if you cook the chicken on the bone, then you're going to get more of that chicken flavor in there. So I do like to add some chicken broth. So if you use the bone-in chicken, then you may not need it. But both times that I've cooked it, I've used chicken broth and it has tasted delicious. So we'll be back once we're ready to add in the shredded chicken. Okay, so the rotini noodles have been cooking now for 7 minutes. I think they are done. This is what I like about them. They don't puff up so much, so they don't absorb a lot of the liquid. So looks perfect to me. We're going to put our chicken back in, and we're just going to give it a good stir. And I think it's looking pretty good. I may add a little bit of chicken broth, because once I put that chicken back in, I can tell it's soaking up some of the broth already, which I thought that it might need a little bit more. And I'm just going to go ahead and add the rest of this. Now I think it looks pretty good. So I'm just going to let it simmer for a couple more minutes, and then we will be ready to plate it up. I'm going to do a taste test and see if I think it needs any more salt and pepper, but I'm going to let it simmer for a minute or so first. Okay, we are ready to plate up the homemade chicken noodle soup. It's looking and smelling good. I think we got a good one this week. We'll see when we eat it. I really am just going to kind of eyeball it.
Take it personal, I ain't lying, I ain't hiding, I've been grinding, multiplying. I've been trying to get my weight up, staying prayed up, meditating and taking time away. You always posting up pictures, trying to look like you.
Alrighty, here are the completed chicken noodle soups with the corn muffins. And this is, I can't remember how many points it is. I have it in my app, but I will have it linked down below so that you can import it and see what your personal points would be on it, because everybody's is a little bit different now. The corn muffins are 3 points for me. I feel like the soup comes out to 2 to 3 points a bowl, so it's still a fairly low point meal as well, but it looks and smells and tastes delicious. Can't wait to try this. Okay, hopefully that's a little brighter. Hopefully you can see me. It is getting dark outside. The days just waste away early. So I'm just going to spray this with a little bit of the olive oil spray. And we're going to put our veggies on here, which this is about half the bag. I'm just going to go ahead and use the rest of them. They need to get used up. They're getting like the little ice crystals on them. And then the only thing I'm going to season with is this Montreal steak seasoning. Now this is a little bit on the spicy side, so if you don't like stuff too spicy, then I would just season with salt and pepper and garlic powder, whatever you want. It doesn't matter, but I think this is delicious. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pop these in the oven, and then we'll get started on the casserole. Okay, we're getting ready to start on our casserole now. This is the Weight Watchers King Ranch Chicken Casserole, and this is from lifeissweeterbydesign.com. So it will be linked down below, and then the link to my app, to the recipe in my app as well. So this calls for 2 cups of chopped, cooked, boneless, skinless chicken breast. So what I have is basically 3 shredded chicken breasts that I'm going to use. A small onion that I'm not going to use. 1 green bell pepper, which Charlie did not realize that he needed to separate out the green bell pepper, so I just took about what I think a bell pepper is out of my mixture of bell peppers. It doesn't really matter on the color. We need 2 cans of the fat-free cream of mushroom soup, so I have that here, and then 10 ounces of diced tomatoes. I'm just going to use 1 can of the original Rotel, and then we're going to use 1 teaspoon each of chili powder and garlic powder, and a half a teaspoon of pepper, and then we're going to need 8 of these Mission extra thin corn tortillas, and then 1/4 of a cup of shredded reduced fat cheddar cheese, which I have some Mexican cheese. I did not get that out yet, and then nonstick vegetable spray. So you got that here. So basically we're going to start off by spraying our skillet and cooking the bell peppers, and then we'll add in basically everything else. Bring it to simmer, and then remove it from heat, let it cool a little bit, and then we're going to put it in the casserole. In the casserole dish, we will layer it with the tortilla wedges. We do have to cut these into quarters, so I will cut the 4 of those into quarters, just using my scissors that I use for food. So yeah, let's get started. I have my skillet ready here. I'm going to go ahead and spray it. I guess I need to turn it on too. And we'll add in the diced peppers. and get those cooking. Those will take a minute. I did keep out some chicken to give to the dogs. They're standing over here wanting some chicken. Here. Okay, so my peppers have been cooking for a few minutes. I think that they are soft enough. We are going to go ahead and add in our chicken, the cream of mushroom soup, the diced tomatoes, the seasonings, and the pepper. So pretty much everything. So add in our chicken. 1 can of original Rotel, 2 cans of cream of mushroom soup. We're going to do half a teaspoon of pepper. This is 1/4 of a teaspoon, so there's 1, 2 of those. And then we're going to do a teaspoon of chili powder and a teaspoon of garlic powder. That's all the chili powder that's in there. And then a teaspoon of garlic powder as well. I'm going to turn the heat down, and we're just going to mix this up and let this simmer for a few minutes. Okay, so we are just going to let that cook for a couple more minutes, and then we're going to push it to the side and let it cool. I'm going to cut my 8 corn tortillas into 4ths and get those ready, and the casserole dish ready. Okay, so I have my 8 Michelin tortillas cut into wedges. It looks like we're going to need 3 layers of the wedges. We're going to spray this. And we're going to place the layer in the bottom, which it does say to use a 9x9 pan. I don't have one, so we're going to use this kind of small casserole dish, which is, I think, an 11x8 or something like that. So pretty close. We'll see how this works. So we're going to put a layer of tortillas down. And then it says about 1/3 of the mixture. So let me see if I can divide this into thirds. Alright, now we're going to place another layer of the tortillas and another layer of the mixture. Then the final layer of tortillas, and then the rest of the mixture. Now this recipe says that it is 4 points on the blue plan. It should be pretty similar. I'm not sure the Mexican cheese that I chose. It is like a low-fat cheese, but you know, typically I do fat-free cheddar. But I felt like the Mexican cheese might be better on here, and it only calls for 1 serving, I think, which, yeah, 1/4 of a cup. So it's only going to be 28 grams. So a 1/4 of a cup is 28 grams. I'm just going to set it on my scale and take it out until it is negative 28 grams. And we will just sprinkle that on the top. And that's it. That's the 28 grams of cheese right there. I'm going to get what I dropped right there, too. Not very much cheese. You could probably increase it if you wanted to. In fact, I think I'll do just a little bit more. We'll just go ahead and do 2 servings of cheese. I'll live life on the edge today. Which will be 56 grams. Perfect. 56 grams. That looks better. Now, it bakes for 30 to 35 minutes until golden bubbly. So, in the oven it goes. The veggies are already in there. So, they've been cooking. Well, there's like 35 minutes left, so actually that's kind of perfect. Okay, here is my chicken casserole fresh out of the oven. She is hot and bubbly. It looks pretty good. Smells pretty good to me. And then here are the finished veggies as well. I'm going to let this cool for just a couple of minutes, and then we will be ready to plate her up into the 6 containers. Alright, we are ready to plate up the casserole. I have it already cut into 6 portions. Hopefully I can get it out without it falling apart. We will see here how I do. The first piece is always the hardest one. Okay, I didn't do too bad. I guess that little corn tortilla is going to go with the other one.
We're on a journey, looking back on the things that we've taken for granted, but feels like we're learning. Okay, got all those divided, so now we are just going to divide the veggies between all 6 containers, and we will have this meal wrapped up. Together, take my hand and we will conquer the world. This is our final chance. 'Cause one day we'll be looking back at this. We were in a big mess together. But we found a way to choose right from wrong. We found the strength to go on. Okay, here are the completed chicken casseroles. I forget the exact name of it, with the veggies, but it tastes pretty good from the little pieces that I ate as I was plating it up.
And yeah, super excited to try this week. This is something brand new we haven't made. We typically don't like corn tortillas that much, so I'm curious to see how we like them in this casserole. Hopefully they're okay. If not, if I made it again, then I would just use like my Extreme Olay wellness wraps or something and cut them up into pieces. But anywho, this is done. Alright guys, for dessert, Charlie has picked out a Weight Watchers Blondies recipe that he found online. So this calls for 2 cups of all-purpose flour, which I have in here, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and a half a teaspoon of salt. So all of that is in here in this little bowl. And then we also need 6 tablespoons of light butter. So I have weighed that out, and I'm just using this I can't believe it's not butter, which actually used up the whole thing, which is good because that's kind of been getting old. And then we're going to need 2 large egg whites. So I'll just use 2 like heaping tablespoons of these, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then it calls for 3/4 of a cup of mini chocolate chips. I had these Lily's butterscotch chocolate chips, or butterscotch chips, that I need to use up, and so there was 80 grams left in here, so that's what I have plugged into my recipe to use. It also calls for 1.5 cups of unpacked brown sugar. I'm just going to use the Swerve brown sugar, and I'm probably going to do 1.5 cups packed. This is 0 points. And then it says mineral water, which I'm just going to use regular water. So we are going to see how these Blondies turn out. Charlie likes Blondies, so hopefully these will be good. And I'm happy I'm getting to use up these butterscotch chips, and I'm getting to use up the butter. I love it once I can use something up and be done with it and don't feel like I have wasted it. So basically I have all of these dry ingredients already mixed. Then it says in a large bowl to beat the brown sugar and butter until fluffy, add egg whites and vanilla, and then you gradually beat in the flour mixture, alternating with water, and then stir in the chips. So we'll see how it turns out. But I'm gonna kind of clean some of this stuff up, measure out my brown sugar, I guess get my butter melted. It doesn't need very much to melt because it's so soft anyway. So I'm gonna pop it in the microwave real quick, and yeah, we'll just see what we come up with. Okay guys, I had to move over here so that I had to plug in and I could get my little hand mixer out, which by the way, this is like ancient. I don't know where we got this, but it's probably over 20 something years old. It's an old Black & Decker, and she still works. It's not like we use it all the time, but in here I have the 1.5 cups of the brown sugar Swerve replacement and the butter. I did not melt the butter in the microwave. I got to thinking about it. It's really soft anyway. I was afraid it would make it too liquidy. So it says to beat the brown sugar and butter until fluffy. So let's see if we can get something fluffy. And I'll probably speed through this for y'all.
It was a Thursday night when I first saw you. Those green eyes caught me. Yeah, it was crazy. It was a Friday night when
Okay, so I feel like that's about as fluffy as I'm going to get that. So now it says to add in the egg whites and vanilla. So we just need a teaspoon of vanilla, which I'm just going to eyeball that. And then 2 large tablespoons of egg whites. So I'm just going to use just like this regular tablespoon. So there's 1 and 2. And then it says to gradually beat in the flour mixture, alternating with water, and then we stir in the chips last. And it only calls for 1/3 of a full ounce of water. It calls for mineral water. I'm just using regular water, so we will just pour that in as it is needed. Here is my flour mixture. This is the flour, the baking powder, and the salt. So I'm just going to give that a quick stir one more time. And then we will just add it in and beat it together as we go with the mixer.
you struck me like lightning. You broke my chains and released me. And days turned into nights on the couch in your apartment. No, I am not the same. Everything has changed. Every day, 24/7, you call my name, and I will come running. Yeah, every day.
And I'm just going to scrape the sides down and then just blend it for another minute. But I feel like we've got a really good consistency going on. And then I will just stir in the chocolate chips or the butterscotch chips with my spoon, not the hand mixture. Okay, I think that looks good. And then, like I said, it calls for 3/4 of a cup of mini chocolate chips. This is all of the butterscotch chips that I had left. I just weighed it out by grams, and that's the way I tracked it. So that is 80 grams. And we are just going to mix that in there. And then I have a pan here ready. I'm going to line it with foil, and we are going to bake it for 20 to 25 minutes at 350 degrees. Okay, let me grab my foil, get my pan lined, and we'll get this in the oven. And I am going to spray my pan with just some of this butter spray, just so that it doesn't stick to the aluminum foil. You could probably do the Baker's Joy too, but it's already put up in the cabinet, so butter spray was handy. Okay, we have that ready. We're going in the oven. I'm just going to put it in for 20 minutes and then check it. But yeah, it says 20 to 25 minutes, 350 degrees. All right, guys, here are the Blondies. I just got those out of the oven. I just kind of picked them up by the aluminum foil and set them over here. I have cut them into the 12 individual pieces, so they will be ready to just put in a container once they are completely cooled. But they are looking and smelling delicious. Hopefully they are good. This is Charlie's request today, so those butterscotch chips sure do look good melted on there. I must say that. Anywho, I'm gonna let them cool, and then we will just store these in, you know, plastic container. All right, we have finally finished meal prep for the day, guys. So we have a few things different this week. I did not make my breakfast because I'm going to make my breakfast fresh every day, which is the way that I prefer it. For my lunches this week, 3 days, I'm going to have this ground turkey that's seasoned with taco seasoning, along with a sweet potato, which I just went ahead and baked those in the microwave so they are ready to go. But I will just heat those up in the microwave whenever I'm ready to eat them. And then I have some fruit. I have a sad little bit of pineapple here because the pineapple was not that good. Quite a bit of cantaloupe. A couple of days I will have pizzas and I will have the fruit with those. I probably have to pick up some more pineapple. We'll see. Because that's really like 2 days worth of pineapple there. For one of our meals, I made this Mexican Ranch Casserole. I forget exactly what it's called, but it will be linked down below along with the link to my WW app with the points and everything. And then just some of the California blend vegetables seasoned with the Montreal steak seasoning. And then we have the Homemade Chicken Noodle Soup from budgetbites.com. This looks delicious. This one looks like it turned out perfect like it did the first time. Highly recommend using the rotini noodles. Don't use the penne like I did the last time. It soaked up all my liquid. And then with that we have the corn muffins to go along with the soup. We will get 2 of those each night. They are 3 points each. And then Charlie actually found this recipe for these Weight Watchers Blondies, and we made those up. These are 4 points each, I think. Again, I will have it linked down below. And yeah, so overall, I think I have completed another successful meal prep. Okay guys, thank you so much for joining me for another Sunday meal prep. I hope that you enjoyed this one. I hope that you try some of these recipes. This one is a slightly different since I didn't have to make my breakfast and stuff for the week, and I kind of made some different lunches. So I'm curious to see how this week will go. This will be my first week at home, you know, being able to vlog and just kind of do my own thing every day. So super excited about that. Super excited for all of y'all that are sticking with me and staying to the end of the video. You know, I love my Jennifer's Gems. I appreciate you all and am very thankful for each and every one of you. And if you've made it all the way this far and you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and click that subscribe button down below. Like this video. It really helps me out. And I will see you guys in the next one. I love y'all.
Merry Christmas, baby. Reindeer's coming out.